The audacity of Dennis Smith.
Mic check 212, bitch.
Hold on. Wait for it. Wait for it. Alright, here I am. What's up? Slight delay there with the microphone, but I am here. What is up, guys? This is today's edition of Mavs Fastbreak. You might be a little bit thrown off because I went live twice earlier today. It's been a little bit of an unusual day. Went and set up for a test stream at Mexico in Allen, Texas. And the reason for that is because we are going to be hosting a live stream watch party for the December 12th Mavs vs. Hawks rematch. So this is Doncic v. Young 2. And we're going to promote this thing as if it's a big fight boxing match here. But that's the plan. So I was out there today, ran a quick live stream just to kind of test out some of the equipment, and after that pretty much did a walkthrough stream as well of the venue just to kind of let you guys actually see the layout and get an idea of kind of where we're going to set up and things like that. So shout out first in the house too, Kent Catch'em. Then we got Rangers King in the house. First, yeah, beat Gle. That's an achievement on this chat thread for sure. Oh, there's Gle. Says he's late, but he's at most like 2 minutes late, so you're good, Gle. And Barry, what's up? So today's disjointed, a little bit disjointed for me. Definitely been on the go a lot the past few days. I took a little bit of time just to kind of gather myself a little bit, kind of recharge a little bit, and I think it's been good. I still have all that content I'm still going to get out for you guys. What up, Isaiah? Still going to get all that content for you guys that you might have missed in the meantime. The college football talk, the thoughts on the Thanksgiving game. I know I got to get a quick turnaround on that one because the Cowboys play again Thursday. But I still watched all the games, still put out highlights and some graphics and things here and there. But I needed a couple days. One, I was out of town, and two, I just needed to kind of recharge. As I said before, a lot of work, a lot of work goes into everything that I'm doing here with the Dallas prospect, and certain things as well, like discussing and setting up plans for live remotes and business dealings and things like that we're trying to set up. It takes a lot of time and effort. So I'm back. Apologize for the brief absence the past 3 or 4 days, but here I am. And today I'm ready to talk a little bit of Dallas Mavericks because damn, this team is on a roll. So the Dallas Mavericks, it's been covered by now. Surely you've seen it or made the observation yourself. The Mavericks started something like 2-7. 2-7 was the start through the first 9 games. Well, now the last 9 games, they're 7-2. That Knicks game, which was like a rock bottom point for them, served as a turning point. And although we did have a little bit of that drama kick up, and you know that got addressed by literally everybody. You also had recently Rick Carlisle coming out and basically saying, now I'm paraphrasing here, I don't have the exact quote in front of me, but the paraphrasing was basically saying that that story and whoever pushed it out there, that it's the equivalent of social media terrorism, I believe was the phrase that he used. The word terrorism was definitely in there. And my reaction to that is kind of like, oh, that's pretty pointed terms there. Like, I mean, you can say that it was a non-story in your mind. That's cool. But, team struggling, people are going to talk about it. And when you have sources from ESPN saying something, you're going to at least give it a moment of thought. So, thankfully, I'm not here to talk about that. The team is playing very well right now. And, hey, like I said, they've won 7 of their last 9. They are still 10th in the Western Conference currently, for those interested in that early. What up, Brandon? What up, Mojo? But, yes, they are still 10th in the Western Conference playoff picture. But clickbait terrorism, that was it, Rangers King. There you go. But they are climbing out of the basement. They've, for whoever cares about the Southwest Division, they are not last in the Southwest Division anymore. In fact, they are oddly ahead of the Rockets and the Spurs. So that's something in itself there. But yeah, very, very impressive. The bounce back that they've managed to put together, the momentum that they are building. And now it's just a matter of building on it. They have to keep building on it. And this was a tough stretch of games they had to go through. Now, you can say that they've caught some teams at the right time. Certain teams that they've beaten on this recent win streak, or at least, successful streak, have been at moments of turmoil. Obviously, the Golden State Warriors, we know everything going on with them, and they had a couple guys out with injury. We know Utah has had its issues. We know, obviously, the Celtics last night, they had their issues. They're not playing as well as they should be. And as a result, you can only play the team that's in front of you, and considering when we looked at the first 20 games of this season, we were like, man, if the wheels fall off this thing, this could be a 6-14 start if everything goes wrong. And instead, we're already sitting here at 9-9, and we've won 7 of our last 9. So, hey, credit where credit's due, man. Again, you can only play the team that's there in front of you, and to be able to get past some of these teams is amazing. Now, hindsight, if you want to think about, hey, let's think about those games we could have won, very winnable games. Lakers, you had the Knicks game that they should have won. You had one of those Utah games I think that they should have probably played better. They were certainly there for a while. The opener at Phoenix, you can write off 4, 5, 6 more games that they could have and should have perhaps won, and then where are you sitting? But again, when you're a team who is largely led by young talent, it's going to take some growing pains, and you're going to have to kind of find out your own identity before you can really enjoy success. So this team is playing very well right now, and hey, they get a 9-point win over the visiting Boston Celtics. Luka put on a show. Now, we didn't have, as some of you have already mentioned, we did not have Dennis Smith Jr. in this game. He's been battling as of late through a bit of a wrist injury, so he was out. Atlanta is another one. Absolutely, we should have won. Great example there. He was out in this game, and as a result, Luka in the first quarter, and at other parts in the game, but in the first quarter, we finally got a look at point guard Luka Point, and holy crap, is that very enticing. Luka Doncic put on a show in the first quarter, and man, it looked like Boston didn't even know what to do with him. For a team with so many guards, so many wing players, Boston looked like it had no idea what to do with Luka, and it just kept throwing Kyrie Irving at him, who's not even a good defender, and Luka was making Kyrie look like a fool out there. So, very impressive start there. In fact, Boston was getting so frustrated with Luka, they had to have Jaylen Brown try to punk him a little bit. And so you get this exchange after Luka gets a steal, sets up DeAndre Jordan for a powerhouse dunk with a sweet pass splitting 2 Boston defenders right under the rim. As Luka's jogging back up the court, he's kind of looking back over his shoulder. I don't know who he's talking to or the context of it, but he's looking there, and Jaylen Brown basically just kind of sizes him up. It's not like he lowers the head. It's nothing visually striking where it's like, oh, clear intent. But he definitely sees Luka coming. He definitely turns and kind of sticks the shoulder in there into the center of Luka's chest. Now, you could say Luka going down. Obviously, this is what Jaylen Brown had to say. Today, he was talking about the play in general and saying, hey, Luka flopped and he only got the call because they're in Dallas. When has Luka gotten the benefit of foul calls all season? This game alone, he was getting the tar beat out of him for a good while. So that I dismissed that completely. 2, you're just mad because he's styling on you guys, so all you can do is try and punk him out and try and knock him down. You knocked him down, but it didn't change the scoreboard. You guys still got your butt kicked. Just saying. Dallas came in and, for the most part, did what they wanted. Now, Boston made it close a couple times. They lose by 9, but Dallas, that's a fine win. That's a win that if you had asked me a week ago, I don't know that I give Dallas this win. So, very impressive performance. in that game, the bench, and really just in this stretch in general, the bench unit for the Mavericks continues to be outstanding. Led by J.J. Barea, Devin Harris, the Mavericks bench is its probably strongest unit. If you look at the guys on the bench right now, you can go down the line, and if for whatever you care, if you buy into plus minus as an absolute, I don't buy it as an absolute, but it is a metric used to measure general impact on a game. If you're looking at the season as a whole, I think Maxey is leading the way for the team with like plus 85 or something like that. And I don't know what the rest of the bench is off the top of my head, but I know that the bench is overall a lot of positives with like J.J. Barea and Devin Harris. And then I think of the starters, the highest plus-minus starter is Luka at plus 12. Trying to think of another one. Harrison Barnes is a surprising minus, and Dennis Smith Jr., to his critics, I think is like a minus 56, which is not good at all. But man, I know because of how the offense ran, a lot of people are looking at this last game, this Boston win, and saying, there you go. It needs to be Luka, and Dennis Smith needs to be moved or traded, whatever. I'm not there yet. And I'm not. Like, Dennis has barely played a full season of NBA action. We know he's a more raw athletic product than Luka coming into the pros. It's going to take time, and I do believe that he can develop into something. Now, does that mean all-star? No, not necessarily. But I feel like it's going to take time, and I think it would be very foolish when you got a guy in the 9th slot of the lottery last year to now flip on him that fast just because you're frustrated with his performance through 18 games of his sophomore season. I just don't think you can do that. You got to stick it out. I would give him at least through this year. See how you feel about him next year because you got him under control for 4 years anyway. So don't worry about it. Just work with it and keep bringing him along. Like I said, he's battled through an ankle injury this year. He missed the Toronto game, for example, with the ankle injury, and he's now had to battle through. We've heard this even the 2 or 3 games leading up to him finally missing against the Celtics. He'd been struggling with a wrist injury. That's why some of his games were very low shot attempts. If you're dealing with a wrist injury, you don't want to shoot a lot with the wrist, I'm guessing. So, I mean, it is what it is. But the Mavericks, as a team, the Mavericks are rolling right now. You got 3 guys, I think, shooting at least 39% from 3. That's Luka, Dennis Smith, and Dorian Finney-Smith. Dorian Finney-Smith, before the last 2 games where he's missed his last 9 shots, was 43% or something, absurdly good. I mean, I'll admit, when Carlisle said early in the year that if there was a redraft of that draft class, Dorian Finney-Smith would be a borderline lottery pick, I was I thought he was just, I thought he was pulling my leg, to use an extremely old expression. I thought there was no way you're taking Finney in the top, in the lottery. I think he said top 12. I just didn't see it. But man, now watching him and how he's played this year, I kind of see it. He's always had the length and athleticism. He's a good, versatile defender. And now, this year, he's added a great shot. So really, really encouraging what we've seen from him and his development. If he can just kind of work through this mini slump he's in, like I said, I think he's missed his last 9 threes. If he can work through that, he's got a lot that he can offer this team in the future. And I think he makes Wes Matthews more expendable. Shout out to Max Levy for sending me the tweet. It was a snippet of a Woj interview. Let me pull it up again here. Top 15, not top 12. See, always correcting me. But Woj basically was talking about on a podcast how the Mavericks had been trying to move. Let me see here. I think Max sent it to me as a message. How the Mavericks have been trying to move Wes Matthews for the last year and a half. Here's the quote. So this is Woj. Wesley Matthews in Dallas, who they've been trying to trade since last year. Now he's an expiring deal. If he doesn't end up in a trade, is he a buyout player for the Mavericks? Is he available to teams? And that's something that we've been discussing for a while. My co-host Any and myself have both. I think that was one of our bets, in fact, for the season, was whether or not Wes Matthews would be on this team, whether he'd be traded or a buyout candidate. And I think the conclusion we both kind of came to was ultimately he wouldn't finish the year with the Mavericks. And I think the most popular theory is that he would be traded. Never said a word about that's a different discussion. So it's just encouraging. It's encouraging to consider in this case because Wes, I feel like this is going to be the year that Dallas could trade him. Now, he brings a lot of veteran leadership to this team, and I do think that they've gotten a better idea, and he's himself figured out a better way to utilize his skill set more with the second unit and all of that. He's shooting phenomenally well, but there are issues, I should say, with some of his play. Sometimes he can hit big shots, but he'll go something like 3 of 11 in the game, and you're just like, nah. for a guy getting as many shot attempts as he gets, that's not great. So I think if he can maintain this, he'll have value, and someone will probably pull the trigger on a deal for him around the deadline. Would he be a buyout candidate? Yeah, but I don't know that I liked the idea of a buyout for him, honestly, as much because, I mean, unless you're confident that, okay, he's gone more minutes for Dodo, see how Dodo does in that, experience. Unless that's what you're going to just fully go all in on, I don't know. It feels like this is a team that probably still thinks that it can gain a lot out of his leadership, and that's why when all the drama and stuff was going around a couple weeks ago, internally there was none of it, it seemed like, turned at Wes Matthews. It felt like it was more from the outside in regarding fans being frustrated with Matthews. So just something to consider there. Let's see here. Let me do a quick roll call here. I've seen a bunch of people jumping in here that I haven't been able to shout out yet. Let's see. I got I saw Mojo99 when you jumped in. Cornbread, what's up? Don't want to talk about Jordan, but I hope it won't be a problem down the road. Yeah, I don't want to go into the DeAndre Jordan stuff either. All I'm going to say on that is, what I've already talked about. There are still issues, I think, with some of his on-court performance, not talking about anything locker room at all. But generally, things are looking up. You're seeing a better kind of chemistry building among the players, and that, I think, is absolutely showing itself on the court. Rangers King, shout out for giving the link again to RSVP to the event. So, guys, if you want to RSVP to it, obviously that's not the only way you can attend. You can come and attend, but it helps me a lot, give an idea, head count, if you will. If you're able to come out to our event, our Mavericks Watch Party at Mexico in Allen, Texas, December 12th, that's a Wednesday, for the Dallas Mavericks hosting the Atlanta Hawks. This is Doncic v. Young 2. If you can come out, we're going to do a pregame show live stream, and we're going to also talk about, we're going to commentate throughout the game as well. We'll be live streaming, myself and my co-host, Any and Duca. We'll be talking about all that. We'll be interacting with you guys. We can bring you guys up to talk with us as well throughout the game if you want. If someone's got, quick comment or something they want to get in, their 2 cents, we can bring you on for sure. And we're going to try and have some free merch out there as well as some of our new merch for sale. My goal is to have out the Luka Legend merchandise out there as well. So all helps us out if you can make it. If you can, click that link Max submitted. Goes to the Facebook event. Like the video. That doesn't help me as much. RSVP if you can make it, or at least if you're interested, click interested. Just gives us an idea of head count and makes the sponsor happy, which makes it look like, hey, our people will turn out. Hire us to come back out and do another one of these events. Haha. Let's see. Marcus, what's up? Yes, Suns was definitely a game that Mavericks should have won early in the year, the opener. At Houston, and then Lakers. Yeah. We'll see what can happen for this team. They're catching fire right now. Speaking of catching fire. There we are. Oh, no, the chat's blocking the thing. Hold on. Hold on. There we are. Yeah. Mavericks are on fire as a team right now. One of the hotter teams in the NBA as far as their last 10 games. Unfortunately, they started 2-7, so it takes some time to dig out of that hole. But hey, we're back to 500, so you're out of the hole. Now you just got to keep moving forward. I was hyped when Luka had that little issue with Jalen. Yeah, I was too. I like seeing some fire from Luka, and we've seen that will fire up the team as a whole as well when teams mess with Luka, which is inevitable. These teams hear the hype. They've heard all the hype about Luka. They think it's just they think that's all it is. They think it's hype. They don't think it's anything. But then they step out there and Luka starts clowning fools, and suddenly they realize, oh man, this 19-year-old kid is punking me out here. He's got Kyrie jumping out of his shoes and then splashing a deep three on him. Like, Luka just made them look silly at times, and I guarantee that got under their skin. That's why you saw guys, kind of getting more physical with Luka. You saw Jaylen Brown give that kind of shoulder bump to Luka and everything like that. I mean, is it a flop? I don't think that it's a flop. The contact's real. I mean, the contact's real. There's a difference to me in this way. Let me put it this way. There's a difference. When you have contact and it does knock you back, in that situation, Luka's right to go down because it's saying like, whoa, this is clearly extracurricular anyway, and he initiated it, and so there you go. It helps draw attention. If Luka had just kind of like bumped back and kept running, I don't think anything's called, or maybe a foul at best, but it's nothing. So it's not a flop. You still did something outside of the rules trying to send a message. It's just he called you on it. That's something that if it was the Spurs, right, back in the day, if it was Ginobili or Parker or someone like that, they would have done the same thing, but you give them respect, so not as many people will call them out on it. But because Luka's the rookie, you don't want to give him credit for it. You want to say he's just flopping and that he's just being a baby. Sorry, dude, he's clowning you. You don't like it? Stop it. Let's see. Barry, Luka is Rookie of the Year. He's certainly looking like it, man. Yes, guys, hit the like button. Like this video. Subscribe to the channel. Ring that notification bell. We go live several times a week talking Mavericks, Cowboys, college football, you name it. Multiple Maverick streams a week. And if I can figure it out, and I'm going to try, you guys know I will always fight and try to bring you guys more and better content. We will do additional shows as well. If I can, just short updates and things like that. I will try and figure out a better way that I can bring you that content. But the thing is, I could jump in every time we get some kind of breaking news. I tried that once a couple weeks ago, and we can talk about it, and that's cool. But if the video quality is not that great, then I don't know how much it's really a benefit to you guys. So I want to try and figure out that healthy balance there of giving you guys great insight and information while at the same time bringing quality to the product overall. Let's see here. I think Jordan's doing too much. Needs to tone it down a little bit, and that's on the coach. I agree. Brandon, what's up? What do you think we have to do to get a win over the Rockets? What do I think we have to do to get a win over the Rockets? Well, you're going to have to continue playing good defense. You're going to have to keep James Harden relatively in check. Chris Paul's going to do what Chris Paul does. Floor general out there. He's going to at times get a little chippy as well. Very much so flop artist like James Harden. But he also tries to get in your head a little bit. And if you're not careful, he will rent out some real estate between your ears. And that generally doesn't work for anybody. In the past, when he was on the Clippers, he would live in Russell Westbrook's head. And more often than not, that was to the detriment of the Thunder. I don't think anyone's really gotten in Luka's head that way this year. I have seen a couple times where people have gotten more physical with him and kind of dictated how he played from there. But even then, he's so well-rounded that even if he starts settling for more pull-up jumpers and outside shots, he's good enough he can hit them. So it hasn't really hurt him as badly in that way. Now, lately, Luka's shot isn't falling the way it was, but he's still shooting at a solid clip. Like I said, 39% from three. I don't have his actual field goal percentage in front of me right now. But yeah, he's running away with Rookie of the Year right now. And that's in spite of Trae Young's comments saying that I'm going to be the better player. I can stretch the court and everything like that and make better plays. You kind of look at that quote from Young and you see the first sentence where he's like, I don't know why it can't work out for both situations. Cool. End the sentence right there. End it. Period. Done. Oh, no. You're still talking? Oh, man.
Nope.
I disagree. Like, that's what it boiled down to. When I was reading the answer, I was like, oh, this is a very well consistent, conscientious answer. And you ruined it. All right. Moving on. Let's see. So, yes, against the Rockets, you're going to have to keep Harden a little bit in check. You're going to have to crash the boards. I don't know that you're going to win the rebounding war, but you got to at least be close. And you're going to have to find ways for some second chance points, I think. Houston's not a good defense, and that was even before, even with Melo, before Melo. Letting go of Trevor Ariza and Ba Mute was a huge mistake, I think, for them. And that's where you're going to have to beat them. If you try and just outscore them, you're going to struggle. Dallas has only failed to reach 100 points once this year. That was the loss at Memphis 2 or 3 games ago, I think. And, Dallas can score, sure, but you got to get stops too. And the defense during this 7 out of 9 wins has been much better. So you gotta win there, and you got to get another efficient performance out of Luka where he's able to kind of dictate the flow of things. Luka was leading EuroLeague in plus-minus as well. Interesting. Have Dorian guard Harden and don't start Dennis, but that's not going to happen. We're so much better when we start Dorian and Wes. And imagine Dennis torching the Rockets bench. Honestly, I would not hate moving Dennis to the bench. That's a really good idea there, Rangers King. Yeah, Dennis, I mean, I still have plans for Dennis. I still have very high hopes for him. But he is working better, I think, for how, especially right now, his own struggles and stuff. I do think he would work better in that second unit right now. And then as he kind of finds himself again, maybe then you kind of bring him back along to the starting unit. But I think that would be a good middle ground for him, for sure. How long did Westbrook take to become an all-star? How long did Westbrook take? I want to say it was like year 3, 4 maybe, something like that. I mean, the Thunder are another team I keep up with, but I don't remember. It was certainly like year 3 or 4. Luka is so much more polished that has to make Dennis jealous. Possible. I do think that they like each other, though. I just think they need to grow their chemistry on court. Just had someone. When will Powell be back? I have not seen an update on Powell. Let me see if someone in the comments gave an update on that, because I have been curious about that as well. I'd like to see Dennis Smith and Luka play some pick and roll. I would like to see that as well, for sure. If Luka keeps balling the way he is, they will respect the Mavs more and get calls from the refs. Watch. Yeah, I agree. Did you see the interview with Rick Carlisle? Asked about Luka. He said the GM was right. His name is Donnie. Yeah, no, I mean, he was right. And I think Donnie has a great eye for talent in the draft. I mean, we know Donnie loved Giannis Antetokounmpo. And it was not Carlisle. It was Cuban who wanted to keep the full max slot open in their books. And so he tried to save like $200,000 or some nonsense. And so he traded. First, he drafted Kelly Olynyk instead. Then he flipped that trade for another pick, which ended up being Shane Larkin instead. So not good. Guys, be sure to tag Dallas Prospect if you got a question for me. When there's this many comments, it's hard to see everyone and interact. So when you tag Prospect, D Dallas Prospect, it highlights it orange for me, and I can find it much more easily. I would trade Dennis in a second. That's your move, but I'm not giving up on the kid yet. Honestly think Luka thrives under pressure. We've seen it versus the Lakers when he tied the game and versus Golden State when he hit the shot for the lead. Luka absolutely has the clutch gene, no doubt. He plays best I think he plays his best basketball, honestly, in the fourth quarter most of the time. But he also has moments where he starts game strong, too. He joked after this last game he does the majority of his damage in the first and fourth quarters. So if he can balance it out a little bit with second and third quarters, we'll be set. But I like that for sure. Luka also led in EuroLeague in plus minus. Very nice. I'm telling you guys, he's kind of crazy. What are we talking about? Oh, Luka. Loves pressure, plays way better against competition with more important games. Good. That's what we need. That's the kind of guy you want to build a franchise around for sure. Luka point guard and having Wes and Dorian in the starting lineup would be OP. He definitely would. Let's see. We want Dirk, not Powell, says Mark. Yeah, Dirk, so there have been conflicting reports on that, right? We were hearing Dirk's a month away, and then it was a few weeks away, but that was already after a couple weeks had passed, and it's like, okay. He's on schedule to play by the end of November. Okay, cool. He's on schedule to play sometime in December. What the hell? Why do we keep moving the goalpost? It's because he's still having issues. This is going to be the final run for Dirk, like no doubt. There's no way. His ankle and everything. He had cleanup surgery. Nothing intense, but because of his age and all of the mileage, think of all, obviously his 21st NBA season, factor in all of the games he played for Germany, all of the world, the world tournaments and all of that he did, Olympics, everything, man. The guy has so much mileage on his body. It's no question to me that now it's just a matter of can he fight through it and can he play even 20 games this year. I'd love to see him play more because, we know it's in all likelihood his last year, and so we want to get as much Dirk as we can. But there's a possibility we're only going to get that for like 20 games. He might be the novelty that sprinkles into the game every so often as opposed to the night in, night out starter. He might come back and play a few games and then miss 2 or 3 games and then play a couple games and then miss some time. It just is what it is, and it sucks. It's always hard to see one of your icons and your heroes in this case go through that decline, but it happens to pretty much everybody. I know Kobe was still balling out before the Achilles injury, but something eventually just physically stops working, and that's what happens. But hey, if Dirk ever wants to jump on commentary, we know he's gold there.
Oh my God! Oh! Shut it down! Let's go home!
Yes, sir. Let me see here. Messiah, what's up? Do you think Dallas should re-sign Jordan at the end of the season based on his play so far? Based on his play so far, if I had to make a decision right now, man, that's tough to look at because we have to know what the market and everything else looks like, right? We have to know who's available, what other free agents there are to be considered. I'm not against re-signing him. I'm against re-signing him to another big deal. And that's partly because, again, my issues with him are more on the court, certain things he does, or rather doesn't do as far as contesting, as far as aggressively rolling to the rim. I think that putting him in that spot and giving him another $19 million, $18 million, whatever a year, I don't think that's the best investment. But if it's all that's there, and you do think that someone else will give him that money and you might lose him, then maybe you have to make a decision there. When they signed him for 1 year, my thought was always, this is either an odd rental that is just meant to make your team more exciting in the short term and a little more competitive, or your like handshake agreement on some kind of declining deal where it's like, okay, now your next deal will be like a 3-year deal, but instead of $22 million, you'll get $19 million and then $17 million and then $13 million or something like that, where he's still getting clumps of money, but it's scaled back a little bit. But I don't know. Right now, I would be very hard-pressed to do that. Yes, he's helping this team, but I'd have to at least take a hard look at what the market is and decide, is this the best I can do? And if it is, then even then I'm trying to find a way to package it in a way where financially and big picture it makes the most sense for us. A little bit of, it's like right there on top of where the comment thread was, and then another comment comes and it like takes the whole wheel away from me for a moment. I have to try and find where I was. Seth Curry all over again. Yes, it is. Let's see. I feel like I just saw someone had a question for me. Oh, okay. I found where I was. Same building, no jealousy between the two. Okay. Do you think we'll make a move? One Sin City 1 asks, do you think we'll make a move in the trade market? I absolutely do. I do. I think that they will make some kind of move. Again, Wesley Matthews is their best, most expendable asset that they have to move. I mean, other guys that you could see, depending on the size of the deal coming back, you could see potentially like a Dwight Powell move, but I don't even know that I want to move Dwight Powell at this point, and I'll admit right now that's a complete transformation from where I was this time last year. Last year, at this time, I thought Powell was probably closer to his ceiling than we felt comfortable with, and probably not worth the money we were paying. Now I look at it and say, yeah, you need to keep Powell. At the very least, he is critical to your bench unit and everything, and he can absolutely have a real impact. So Wes Matthews will be considered for that, and you'll have other guys that are always in the mix as well. But I don't know what the move Dallas makes is at the deadline, but I imagine they do something that either shakes up the bench, or, I mean, the bench is good though. I don't think the bench needs a lot of tinkering. I'd probably say if you make a change, it's going to be someone that can replace Wes Matthews and be that kind of three-point shooter or, you know, versatile defender that Wes used to be and really isn't so much anymore. Let's see. I'm going to Oakland to watch the Warriors and Mavs on the 23rd of March, all the way from Slocum. Man, that is awesome. That is serious dedication, man. Salute for sure. What sucks about Dirk not playing is that he was supposed to pass Wilt on the all-time scoring list, but probably won't happen now. Yeah, that's very much in jeopardy. He's only a couple hundred points, like 200, 250 points away, something like that. I want to say. Max, you can correct me if I'm wrong. But yeah, he's not that far off. But if he's not getting the games to play, then it won't happen. And if it doesn't happen, it doesn't happen. I mean, he's hit more than enough milestones along the way. Hell, if he takes the court for us once, he'll become officially the only player ever to play 21 seasons with one franchise. So there's another milestone the second he laces up his shoes and checks into the game for the first time. So at this point, those are just little novelties to him. It's nothing that he has to have to define or justify his legacy. 570 euros for, I think he was talking about the trip for 2 tickets. Nice. I don't know what that converts to for American dollars, but nice. Going with one of my best friends that doesn't even follow basketball. There you go. Now I think Jordan is for sure jealous of Luka. No, Mavs will not re-sign DeAndre. New people in the chat, if you intend to go live remote or are interested, please click the link below. Yes, click that link, and while you're at it, wait for it. There's plugging the Facebook link for you there. But yes, like this video, subscribe to the channel, ring the notification bell, stay in tune. We talk Mavericks all week long. And if you follow us on other social media pages, you'll see I always post quotes. I do custom graphics for, well, the thumbnails for the videos generally. Quotes from post-game, whether that be Rick Carlisle or Luka Doncic himself, Dirk, whatever. We take those quotes, create these custom graphics as well that make those. So we'll post those on like Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. Always great highlights like in-game as it's happening. We'll get the highlight clips and post those for you guys as well. So a lot of benefit to following us on the other ones. If you love Mavericks, or even if you're a two-way fan and also love the Cowboys, we got you covered there too. Let's see. DeAndre is honestly hard to watch. Yep. I'm sure it's going to be a good trip. Sorry, I'm reading the conversation within the chat. I just saw the question mark and assumed it was directed at me for a second. What up? I think I'm caught up to the bottom. Dirk is 232 away from Wilt. There you go. I said 2 to 250. So, yeah, I was pretty close. After seeing, this is the Darkest Dragon. After seeing the Mavericks versus Boston, would you agree any talk or on ever trading Dennis Smith Jr. would be foolish based on how Luka showed in that game? He should not be a full-time point guard. There are sides of that I agree with, and I feel like I agree and disagree on that assessment. Like, Luka as full-time point guard is not my ideal. Great, I agree. I do think that part of that is that it was really his first time this season playing just running straight-up point guard, and I think that it works better when done in doses. But I don't want to say that he can't improve if he were to be a full-time point guard. But that's not personally what I want for him. Do I agree that trading Dennis Smith Jr. would be foolish right now? I think it would be. I know there are people that don't think that. But I think that the guy does have a very high ceiling. And if you can just be a little patient with him, give him time to develop, he'll eventually find that next gear. And you'll have, not saying you'll have another all-star, because Luka's going to be an all-star. I think Luka's an all-star this year. You don't necessarily have another all-star, but you have another very good player on your hands, I think. And that's huge. I mean, you got the guy with the 9th pick overall last year. Like, it's not like he was, some bargain bin shopping thing or whatever. This is a guy who has a lot of promise. And the Mavericks don't get, under the Mark Cuban era, these high-end prospects ever. Like, in the Cuban era, the draft was completely neglected. Josh Howard was your big first-round pick in the Cuban era that I can think of. Devin Harris was part of a trade, so you could throw that in there as well. But, yeah, that's just how it worked out. And so I feel like you got to give the kid some time, because it's not like we're knocking on the door of a title right now. So to give him another year or a year and a half, to me, isn't crazy. The worst thing that can happen, he plays out his rookie deal, and then you decide, yeah, it doesn't really fit with Luka and what we're trying to build for this team right now. I think we're better off without him. Okay, so be it. If that happens, that happens, but I think it's way too early to pull the rug out from under the kid, especially when he's been dealing with some injuries. Let's see. Oh, there you go. See, Rangers King with all the math. 646.35. Man, for how far you're traveling, that's awesome, man. Luka is a pure scorer. He needs to let Dennis Smith Jr. have the ball more so he can work his magic off ball. Yeah. Mano, what's up? New to the chat. Let's go Mavs. Hey, what up, Mano? If you haven't already, hit the like button on this video. Smash that button. Subscribe. Like I said, we talk Mavericks multiple times a week. And on all our other social media platforms, I needed a glass of water. On our other social media platforms, we also put out all kinds of highlight clips and custom graphics that I put together as well. So, welcome. Welcome, fam. Luka's definitely not the primary ball handler. Again, side conversation. Don't need Darky getting any more records. He's given me over 20 years of memories that can never be taken away. I agree. I love Luka to death, though, and Dennis. I agree. Barnes is our other all-star. It's going to be tough for Barnes to make it. Barnes has been much better during this good stretch for the Mavericks, but it's going to be really tough for him to make it. I don't think he makes the All-Star game, but he can play at an All-Star level and not make it. Just ask Monte Ellis in the past about that. Luka equals MVP. I don't know about MVP yet, but ultimately I think he could win an MVP in his career for sure. I think Mavericks need to re-sign Barnes as well for $22 a year. So Barnes has an opt-in for next year, so they don't have to do that right now. They have Barnes next year as well. I think at that point he will be making 22, by the way. If people don't see Dennis Smith as a future All-Star, then why clinch to him so much? Again, it's not like he's a 3 or 4 year pro, and I'm saying, well, hey, he might not be an All-Star, but hang on to him. Don't trade him under any circumstances. We're talking about a kid who's played, let's see. I'm going to do the math. I'm going to take a moment and do the math here. 87 games in his NBA career. So 1 year and 5 games. That's been Dennis Smith Jr.'s NBA career to this point. To me, that's not near enough time to base a kid and decide what he is or isn't. Yes, he had an offseason in there after 69 games, but as far as on-court action, barely a year. I just don't think you can make that assessment about what he is or isn't. Maybe he'll be an all-star, maybe he won't. Regardless, I think it's way too early to give up on him, and because you got him in the top end of the lottery, the only way I would even think of moving him would be if it was like a blockbuster deal that brought us back like a freaking Chris Middleton or something. Then I would say, okay, you officially have my blessing. But for the most part, I'm going to say it's too early for me. I saw something up. Get Dragic to Dallas, and you'll see how happy Luka is. It's going to be tough to get Dragic to Dallas. Miami likes him a lot, and he's getting paid quite well. I agree. 2 years in, see what he is and what the team would be. Yes, absolutely. Uchi? Yulo. Do you think Barnes will pick up his 4th-year option or decline it and move on to another team that really needs him? I think he takes the money for next year. If we played like we did last year and 2 years ago, maybe he would have left. But it's still a lot of money and a much bigger role than he's going to get on any other team. And he's still young enough at 26 that he can deal with that for 1 more year and still have a lot of good years even after. So I think Barnes picks up his option next year. Donst. Luka is an all-star this year. Does he have a real chance to get to an all-star game? How huge would that be? How big of a star is Luka in the States? Luka is becoming a big star in the States for sure. In Dallas, I'd say he's already reaching rock star status. Not the legendary status of Dirk, but, I mean, that's understandable. He's definitely reaching rock star status quickly in Dallas, and I think around the league, every time he plays a new opponent, especially when he goes into their building, and he's doing stuff, people are starting to kind of, heads are turning, and they're like, man, that kid actually has something. It's not just hype. It's not just people saying, hey, he's really good. Like, think about how many guys come in every year and you hear, hey, man, he's really good. He was taken in the top 5. And sometimes they're really good, and sometimes they're just okay at first. Luka came in and pretty much from the jump was like he was the best player on the Mavericks, especially offensively from the jump, and it's shown out a lot across the season thus far. Most of the time, he's one of the best players on the court, even against really good teams. So, could he make the All-Star team this year? I think so. I think his brand and his aura around him is growing enough that he could. And as for how much he'll play in the game, I don't know. Honestly, it's cool to see him out there initially, But all-star games also make me nervous because even though they're kind of like brother-in-law defense where it's not really guarding each other, I still worry about injury. You know, you had Dwayne Wade, breaking Kobe Bryant's nose or something in the All-Star game. Like, you still get injuries. It still happens. If you keep Dennis Smith in 2 years, you will be saying, how come Dallas can't bring the right players to play with Luka? I disagree with that assessment. You're saying if we keep Dennis, then we'll find ourselves in 2 years saying, why can't Dallas get people to come play with Luka? Like, that you can't. You're projecting that out into the future as a prediction, but you're stating it as if it's fact. We don't know. And I think Dennis can still be something and have his draw as well. Now, could he be better suited to be more of a combo guard? I think so, certainly. Especially if he gets a little bit better with that outside shot. I know he's 39% from three. I mean, like pull-up jumpers and all that even, which were his bread and butter a lot in the rookie year. But if he can get that kind of stuff going again and be more of a combo guard, I think him and Luka, great together, can certainly draw free agents. And that's my prediction. I'm not stating it as fact. That's just my prediction. Cheers from Slovenia also. Oh, man, that is what's up. Let me take the moment now to run the cursory reminding of... Wait. Here, throw up the Twitter first. Let's see. And then... after a moment, I'll throw it back to the reminder to like and subscribe, because that's how frequent I do that. Just in case someone new comes in, you never know. Why not run Luka and Dennis Smith at the 1 and 2, and then do Barnes and DJ? Let's see. So who's your 3 in this case? You said Luka and Dennis at the 1 and 2, and then Barnes and DJ. Oh, Dodo. Sorry, I saw. I didn't see the second one. I'd like that lineup. I'd be very curious to see what that lineup can do. So after DeAndre Jordan goes to free agency, by the way, guys, I got 5 more questions, then I got to wrap up this stream. My voice is going out a little bit, and I got some things I still got to get done tonight. So after DeAndre Jordan goes to free agency, how would you build the Mavericks, assuming Powell and Barnes are re-signed to their contracts in the upper end of the deals? Would you attempt to rebound? Well, again, Dwight and Barnes both have player options. They'll both opt in next year. So you have more time to work things out. Now, could you do an extension in the meantime? Yes. But you don't have to yet. So we'll see what they do. I think Dwight Powell's probably here to stay. Barnes is a toss-up for me. I think Barnes does really love Dallas. And if the team shows enough promise, he will stay. But I do think that he might be tempted, because by the time he would finish this deal, he would be 27 going on 28, I think. Or maybe he's already 28 at that point. I think at that point he would be maybe more tempted to go ahead and leave for greener pastures, a chance to compete again. But he's already got his ring. I mean, so that part won't hover over him, but you always want to chase for more rings and spend your prime years in the best situations you can. It's just how human nature works. How would I address the team? How would I try to build them? I think you got to get another. Doesn't have to be a megastar, but you'll see Ranger King a lot talking about Chris Middleton. That's absolutely the kind of guy that you want to bring into this team. Basically a borderline superstar, and you can get him. Like, he is possible to get, and if you do, you're going to see like the perfect combo with Luka. I mean, I would be ecstatic to see them get someone like that. More ecstatic about him than when people were discussing the hypothetical Jimmy Butler trade. I never bought into the Butler trade, not just because of the drama, but the on-court product. I was more interested in Middleton, just like Max. So you go for someone like that. You got a lot of money. You try and go get not necessarily a mega. You got money that you can go get 1, maybe 2 max guys. But I think in the meantime, you also say, hey, don't just throw the name at the big name. Like, Middleton's a bigger name, but by no means is he like a top tier name. So you go get someone like that. You get someone who's plenty young, has a higher ceiling he can still reach, and you're pairing him with your own rising, developing talent, and you really got a perfect match. Beyond that, I'd have to dig in deeper and, kind of determine who I think out of the upcoming free agent pool is worth chasing. And I'll make more videos of that where I break down 5 free agents the Mavericks should target. Or, I'll do an article too. 4 questions. Think we can get Anthony Davis if we let Jordan go next year, says Mano. We would have the money. Do I think we could get him? I wouldn't hold my breath. I don't doubt the interest in him leaving New Orleans, because what have they gotten him, really? Nothing. So, they got him Boogie, but that just didn't work out. I think they had to give up too much to get Boogie, and it left them thin in some areas. But I would say it's a chance, but I wouldn't put it at a high chance. I don't know what percentage to give you, but I would say sub 20%, maybe like 10. Even that might be ambitious or generous, I should say. Anybody saying Trey Dennis doesn't know the history of the Mavs? We never had a prospect like that. Hey, prospect, like my name. Or the site's name, channel's name, whatever. Yeah, I agree, big homie from the D. Smash the like button, yes sir. Yeah, glad I did see the Amari Cooper, Markelle Fultz free throw. And I even saw Fultz's reaction to it where he busted out laughing as well, which that was really funny. Perfect troll, and I loved how it was the Dallas player trolling a Philadelphia athlete. I thought that was a perfect touch. After DeAndre leaves, what's the solution at center? You're going to have to go figure out something in free agency. That's what it would boil down to. Maxey is your center if DeAndre is gone, so you have to figure that out. I love Maxey. I think he's been phenomenal for Dallas, but it's not what you want to do. You don't want to run him as your starting center. It's that or Salah Mejri, and you don't want that either. So I did videos on that this past offseason where for that free agency class I discussed multiple options. I think, in fact, 10 or 11 potential free agents the Mavericks could target at the, I said center, but really it was more front court because I'd worked in a couple guys like Julius Randle at the time in the discussion before I dug deeper and found Dallas really doesn't like Julius Randle, and they wouldn't even consider it apparently. So front court options, I did videos on that, and I can do more. If we find ourselves in that crossroads where it looks like that's what we're going to do, I can do more analysis and put out more videos for you guys talking about that. Wouldn't be surprised if we get Giannis as a free agent. That would be incredible. That would be incredible. Cuban getting a chance to right his greatest draft day wrong. That'd be incredible if you paired Giannis with Luka and Dennis, Maxey and Dwight. Oof. That's title contender pretty much off the bat. Let's see. Chris Middleton stat update. 19 points per game, 42% from 3, 91% from free throw, 46.6 from the field, 4.2 assists, and 5.4 rebounds. Yes, give me that. I think Kostas is the key to getting Giannis. It certainly helps, but, we signed, what was it, last year? We signed Drew Holiday's younger brother to the Texas Legends to try and be like, we want to talk with you in free agency, and he was linked to Dallas, and then New Orleans said, actually, here's a fat contract we can give you that no one else can give you this much money, and he was like, yeah, I'll take that. So it helps, but I'm not going to, invest that heavily, and I'm not going to put all my eggs in that basket. I'd love it. I would, because that set us back, I think, 5 years by itself, but we'll see. I remember when the Knicks signed Chris Smith, a brother of J.R. Smith, just to try to kind of make him happier. Chris was such a bad player. He actually played in Cosmo after that. Wow. Interesting. Yeah, it doesn't always work, but you got to see. Well, my voice is kind of bumming out on me now. I've been kind of fighting through a little bit of a bug I feel like the last day or so my voice has been kind of hit or miss. But I'm going to rest up. I'm going to wrap up this show here. And wait a minute. Hit some of these drops for you. There you go. But yes, we will be back. Let's see, today is Sunday. I got Cowboy stream tomorrow, and then I got to sprinkle in some college football talk. I'll be back for Mavericks probably Wednesday. I'm going to figure it out, but we're going to get on schedule. Stay tuned. If you want updates on the stream when we go live, you can follow Facebook, Twitter, at Dallas Prospect. Let me throw up that handle now, actually. At DDP_journalist, that's mine personally, or at Dallas Prospect. Max at Rangers King 669 gives you a lot of great updates as well. He's pretty much as closely tied to Prospect as you can be. There's also Instagram will give you some updates. What I recommend, the two must-dos as far as following the schedule, Twitter at Dallas Prospect will give you a definitive answer, and so will now on YouTube. I have the community tab. I can just make a post with the text, so I can literally post, and you'll just see it on your wall on YouTube as you scroll through your feed. I can give you guys an update and say, hey, Mavs Fastbreak, instead of 3 o'clock like usual today, it's going to be 6 o'clock, which is kind of like what happened today. But those are all options for you guys, so just keep an eye on that. Stay tuned. We'll have more details for the live stream. Again, as Max is plugging the link, RSVP. Let us know if you can make it or if you're at least interested in coming out. Allen, Texas, December 12th. December 12th, Allen, Texas. We are going to be doing a Mavs watch party. Mavs, Hawks, Doncic v. Young 2. It's going down. We're going to make this a great event. We'll have some merch. We'll have some giveaways as well. That variety as well. Some prospect shirts and things like that perhaps. But check it out. RSVP. And until next time, guys, that's my time. Remember, every legend was once a prospect. Salute.